In the dim glow of a rainy city street, a wealthy man in a crisp blue suit hurries along, his young son clutching his hand. The boy suddenly stops, points back at a huddled woman begging on the sidewalk with a stroller beside her, and whispers words that shatter the man's world. "Dad, that's Mom. What happens next isn't just a family reunion. It's a raw reminder that one act of kindness can rewrite a lifetime of regret." Stick around for a story that might just change how you see the strangers around you. Have you ever ignored someone in need, only to realize later it could have been anyone, even someone you love? If this tale touches your heart, hit that subscribe button for more inspiring stories on kindness tales. Like this video if you're ready to spread a little more compassion, and drop a comment below. What's one act of kindness you've witnessed that changed everything? Let's dive into today's story. Richard Harrington strode through the bustling streets of New York City like he owned them, and in many ways he did. At 42, he was the CEO of a thriving tech firm, with a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a sleek black Mercedes in the garage, and a schedule packed with board meetings and power lunches. His life was a testament to the American dream: hard work, ambition, and success. But beneath the polished exterior, there was a void he rarely acknowledged. His marriage to Emily had crumbled 5 years ago, a casualty of his relentless pursuit of wealth. She'd wanted a simpler life, more time as a family, but Richard had chosen late nights at the office over quiet evenings at home. The divorce was messy, and he'd won custody of their son, Tommy, now 7 years old. Emily vanished from their lives, or so he thought. He told himself she was fine, probably starting over somewhere with the settlement money. Deep down he knew he'd been cold, dismissive, but regrets were for the weak. It was a chilly autumn evening in October, the kind where the rain slicks the sidewalks and streetlights cast long, shimmering reflections. Richard had picked Tommy up from his elite private school in Manhattan, and they were walking the few blocks home, part of Richard's attempt at quality time amid his chaotic days. Tommy, with his mop of blonde hair and bright blue eyes, skipped along in his red jacket, chattering about his day. "Dad, we learned about helping others in class today," the boy said innocently. "Like if someone's hungry, you share your snack." Richard nodded absently, his mind on an upcoming merger. "That's nice, buddy. But in the real world, you have to look out for yourself first." As they turned onto a quieter side street, lined with shuttered shops, the rain picked up, drumming against the awnings. Huddled against a closed storefront was a woman, her coat threadbare and soaked, sitting on the wet pavement. Beside her was a stroller, piled with a few tattered bags and a stuffed bear peeking out. She held out a crumpled coffee cup, her voice barely audible over the downpour. "Spare some change. Anything helps." Her face was gaunt, streaked with dirt and exhaustion. Blonde hair matted under a hood. Passers-by hurried by, umbrellas tilted against the wind, averting their eyes. Richard did the same. He'd seen beggars before. New York's streets were full of them. "Come on, Tommy," he muttered, tightening his grip on the boy's hand. "We don't have time." But Tommy resisted, his small feet planting firmly on the sidewalk. He tugged back, craning his neck to look at the woman. Richard sighed, impatience bubbling up. "What is it, son?" "It's raining. We need to get home." Tommy's eyes widened, and he pointed with a trembling finger. "Dad, that's Mom." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Richard froze, his heart slamming against his ribs. "What? Don't be silly. Come on." But Tommy pulled harder, his voice insistent. "It is. Look at her eyes. And the bear, that's Mr. Snuggles, the one she gave me when I was a baby." Richard turned slowly, forcing himself to really look. The woman's head was bowed, but as she glanced up, her blue eyes met his, eyes he knew all too well. Eyes that had once sparkled with laughter during their honeymoon in the Hamptons. Eyes that had filled with tears during their final argument in the kitchen of their old brownstone. It was Emily, his ex-wife, the mother of his child. Reduced to begging on the street, the world tilted. How? Why? Shame and shock washed over him like the rain. He released Tommy's hand and the boy ran forward, dropping to his knees beside her. "Mommy?" Emily's face crumpled, tears mixing with the rain. She reached out, pulling Tommy into a hug, her body shaking. "Oh, my baby." My sweet boy. Richard stood there, rooted to the spot, his designer suit now drenched. Memories flooded back unbidden. They'd met in college at NYU. Two ambitious kids from middle-class families, chasing dreams in the big city. Emily was studying art, with a passion for painting that lit up rooms. Richard was in business school, laser-focused on climbing the corporate ladder. They fell in love fast. Weekend picnics in Central Park. Late-night talks about building a life together. Marriage followed, then Tommy, a bundle of joy who made their apartment feel like home. But success changed Richard. Promotions meant longer hours, travel and stress. Emily begged him to slow down, to be present. "We have enough, Rich, let's enjoy it." But he pushed harder, convinced that more money meant more security. Arguments escalated. "You're never here," she'd cry. "I'm providing for us," he'd shout back. The divorce papers came, and Emily left with a modest sum, vowing to start fresh. Richard assumed she'd be okay. She was strong, resourceful. He never checked. Now here she was, broken. Tommy clung to her, babbling questions. "Where have you been, Mommy? I missed you." Emily wiped her eyes, glancing at Richard with a mix of pain and defiance. I tried, Tommy. Things got hard." Richard knelt down, the cold pavement seeping through his pants. "Emily, what happened?" His voice cracked, the CEO facade crumbling. She hesitated, then spoke in a whisper. After the divorce, she'd moved to a small apartment in Brooklyn, trying to make it as an artist. But the city was unforgiving. A bad investment wiped out her savings. Then illness struck, a bout with pneumonia that left her unable to work. Medical bills piled up, eviction followed. Friends drifted away, family was distant. Pride kept her from reaching out to Richard. "I didn't want your pity," she said, "and I figured you'd moved on." For months, she'd bounced between shelters, scraping by with odd jobs and begging when desperation hit. The stroller, it held her few possessions, including Tommy's old bear, a talisman of better days. Richard's throat tightened. How many times had he walked past people like her, judging them as lazy or failures? How many times had he ignored the quiet? Pleas for help on subway, platforms or street corners? In his bubble of privilege, kindness was an afterthought, a donation to charity at tax time, not a daily practice. But seeing Emily like this, realizing his own role in her downfall, it hit like a freight train. "I'm so sorry," he murmured, pulling out his wallet. But money felt inadequate. Instead, he helped her stand, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders. "Come home with us, please. Let's get you warm-fed. Tommy needs you, we both do." They walked back to his penthouse in silence, the rain easing, as if the city itself was granting mercy. Inside, Emily bathed, ate a hot meal, and tucked Tommy into bed with stories from her missing years. Richard watched from the doorway, a stranger in his own home. That night they talked, really talked, for the first time in years. No accusations, just honesty. "I was wrong," Richard admitted. "I chose success over love, over kindness. I see that now." Emily nodded, forgiveness budding like a fragile flower. "Life humbled me too. But maybe this is our second chance." In the weeks that followed, Richard transformed. He used his resources not just for himself, but for others. He helped Emily get back on her feet. An apartment, therapy, even gallery space for her art. Their family mended. Not perfectly, but with effort. Tommy thrived, his innocent act of recognition sparking it all. Richard started volunteering at shelters, funding programs for the homeless in NYC. He spoke at his company about work-life balance, encouraging employees to prioritize compassion. "Kindness isn't weakness," he'd say. "It's the strongest investment you can make." One evening, months later, as they strolled through Central Park as a family, Tommy skipped ahead, laughing. Emily squeezed Richard's hand. "Who knew our son would be the one to teach us?" Richard smiled, grateful. The city buzzed around them, full of stories waiting to unfold. And that's the power of kindness, friends. It's not about grand gestures. It's about pausing, looking back, and seeing the humanity in everyone, even those we've hurt or overlooked. In a world that moves too fast, like the crowded streets of America, one small act can heal wounds, rebuild lives, and inspire change. Remember Richard's story next time you pass someone in need. A smile, a dollar, a moment of your time. It could be the turning point they desperately need. Or who knows, it might just save you too. If this tale moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder. Spread kindness today, because you never know whose life you might touch. Thanks for watching Kindness Tales. See you in the next story.